Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Hope questions Brooke's destiny and Electra screams in terror at a shocking discovery. At Brooke's house, she tells Hope that she reached out to Ridge on Christmas Eve, but she hasn't heard back yet. She's starting to think she's not going to. Hope hugs her. Brooke says she and Ridge hurt each other. He felt betrayed, the way it looks. I just never imagined that he would. Hope says, turn to Taylor, and so quickly? Brooke sighs, yeah. Hope fumes, how could he? At the Forrester mansion, Ridge is staring at his phone when Steffi comes in. She figures he's thinking about Brooke and processing. She recaps what she did. Her daughter stole the company and Brooke stole his job. She betrayed all of them. Steffi pulls her dad into a hug. At Forrester, Katie is working away in the design office when Will enters. He wants to talk to her about Electra. He needs to know why she fired her. Will recaps that she put him off before, but that's not acceptable. What happened? Katie sighs. She wishes her all the luck in the future. Will asks if she let her go because she's a Forrester. Katie says no. Will wants to know the reason then. What did she do that warrants her losing her job? Katie questions how well he really knows the young woman. At Il Giardino, Ivy tries to coax Electra to eat. She wanted her first Christmas in LA to be a happy one. Electra says it wasn't all bad. She hung out with family and with Will, who has been so supportive. They can't understand why she was fired. She was doing a good job. Remy appears and Ivy tells him it's nice to finally meet him. He's noticed Electra seems upset and asks what's wrong. She says she was fired from Forrester. Electra doesn't know why. Remy sits and says, that sucks. He starts complaining about Los Angeles and tells her it might be for the best. Electra thought she was getting somewhere. Remy believes in her. He tells her that she can count on him. Electra admits she's sad. Remy tells her she doesn't need those people. I'm here for you. Just like before when everyone turned their backs on you at home. Electra doesn't want to think about those deepfake photos. Deacon interrupts to ask Remy to clean the grill. Remy tells Electra he'll never abandon her. At Brooke's place, Hope tells her mother that Ridge shouldn't be punishing her for what she and Carter did. Brooke says it wasn't about that. Hope can't believe he turned to Taylor. She's always saying she and Ridge are meant to be. But what if they're not? If they were, he wouldn't be seeking solace with Taylor. He'd be there with her right now. Hope wants her to be realistic right now. For Ridge to turn to Taylor of all people, would a committed man do that? Please, try to be honest with yourself, Mom. Is Ridge really your destiny? Brooke sighs. She hates this whole situation. Hope won't let her put this on herself. Brooke says they promised not to let anything come between them. Hope says Ridge broke that promise. Brooke won't. It's a big mistake. She won't just let him walk away. We belong together. There is only one man for me. Ridge Forrester. At the Forrester mansion, Ridge tells Steffi he can't understand Brooke coming over there to tell him what she did. Steffi thinks she was probably planning to turn on the waterworks. Ridge reminds Steffi that what happened with her mother had nothing to do with Brooke. Steffi knows. She warns him not to look back. You have to look to your future, whatever that is. Steffi hopes they get another Christmas miracle. Ridge doesn't want to drag Taylor through all the stuff they're going to go through. Steffi reminds him that her mother always supports him. She asks him to tell her he knows this. Ridge grunts, you know that I love your mother. Steffi recaps how he helped her with her heart condition. It's been a turning point for her. She's happy for them. Whatever this is, she wants to be able to trust it. Ridge says, trust me, you mean. Steffi says her mom's heart is still healing. Please don't break it. Ridge won't pretend he's perfect. That won't work for anyone. He knows he didn't treat her mom's heart with the care it deserves, but he's not there to break it. Their relationship seems stronger than it's ever been. Life with her mom, her Thomas and Phoebe. It's always been a safety net for him. They love him completely. That's what your mom is doing. They embrace. It was a late autumn afternoon when Hope found herself standing at the edge of the darkened forest, her mind swirling with questions that refused to be silenced. The wind whipped through the tall, thin trees, sending shivers through her spine. Her fingers trembled as she traced the engraved letters on the old, forgotten stone that lay hidden beneath the brush. It had been years since she'd seen it, years since she'd even thought about it. But now, standing here, she could feel something stirring within her, as though the past and the future were converging in a single moment. The stone, cold and worn with time, was a key. It held the answers, she knew it. But to unlock those answers meant confronting truths she wasn't sure she was ready to face. "Brooke," she whispered, as though calling the name would somehow summon the girl who had once been her closest friend, her confidant. But Brooke was gone, lost to the shadows of fate. Hope had searched for her relentlessly through every corner of their small town, through the twists and turns of forgotten streets and abandoned houses. Yet Brooke had vanished without a trace, leaving nothing behind but an eerie silence. The stone's engraving, now partially obscured by creeping ivy, spoke of destiny and power, of choices that could either save or destroy. And Hope had the uncomfortable feeling that she was part of whatever dark story it told. But how? And what was her connection to Brooke? Was she meant to follow in her footsteps, or was she to become something else entirely? The wind picked up, and the leaves rustled as if whispering secrets just beyond her reach. Hope stepped back, her breath caught in her throat. The questions burned inside her. What if she was meant to change the world? What if everything she thought she knew about herself was a lie? Suddenly, a figure appeared in the distance, tall, shadowed by the thickening dusk. Hope's heart skipped a beat, her instincts screaming that something was wrong. As the figure drew closer, she could make out the unmistakable silhouette of Brooke, but something was different. Her movements were jerky, unnaturally so, and her once bright eyes were now dull and lifeless, like two hollow orbs. "Brooke," Hope's voice trembled, the word escaping her lips before she could stop it. Brooke stopped, standing in the shadows of the trees, her face twisted in an expression that was half familiar, half strange. A sickly smile spread across her lips, but there was no warmth in it. "You finally found me," she said in a voice that sent chills down Hope's spine. "But are you ready for the truth?" Hope swallowed hard, her hands shaking as she reached for the stone again, its cold surface grounding her. "What happened to you?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Brooke's smile faded, replaced by an intense, hollow gaze. "You were always meant to find me, Hope. But I fear you might not like what you discover." She reached out, her hand trembling as she pointed toward the heart of the forest. "The answers are there, but they come at a price." Hope's breath caught in her throat. The wind seemed to hush around her, as though the entire world was holding its breath. What had Brooke become? What had she uncovered that had turned her into this? "I don't understand," Hope said, the words barely leaving her mouth. Brooke's expression hardened, her eyes narrowing. "You never did," she muttered, her voice darkening with an edge of bitterness. "You never wanted to know. But now it's too late." Her figure began to blur at the edges, as if she was fading into the very air itself. "You're part of it now, Hope. There's no going back." Before Hope could respond, Brooke vanished entirely, leaving behind only the faintest echo of her voice. Hope stood frozen, her mind racing with confusion, fear, and the desperate need for answers. As she turned to leave the forest, a scream shattered the silence. The scream was shrill, filled with terror and panic. It was Electra, Hope's other close friend, the one who had always been skeptical about the mysteries surrounding Brooke's disappearance. Hope's heart raced as she sprinted toward the source of the scream, knowing that whatever Electra had discovered was something that would forever change their lives. When she reached the clearing, she saw Electra standing in the middle of the path, her eyes wide with horror, her body trembling. She was staring at something, her face pale as if she had seen a ghost. "Electra," Hope called, her voice frantic. Electra didn't answer at first, She simply stood there, frozen in terror, her gaze fixed on whatever lay ahead of her. Hope followed her line of sight and froze. It was the stone. The one that had just moments ago been in her hand. But now it was glowing, faintly at first, but with a growing intensity. The symbols on its surface pulsed with an unnatural light, shifting and changing as though alive.